Hi, my name is Bridget Schluter-Rogers, and I am an owner, educator, stylist at Sheer Excellence Salon in Rantoul, Illinois, and I am hoping to become a matrix educator. Today, I will be demonstrating a cut, a color, and an updo using all matrix products. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so what I'm doing today is I am cutting my client before I color her because I wanted to make sure that my color application and my haircut meshed together and worked in harmony. So I have already cut the back of my client's hair and I cut it into a solid, which is a projection at 0 degrees, all even. I did have my client's head pushed slightly forward so that she would have a nice slight underbevel and there wouldn't be any scragglers of little hairs that I missed. When I was subsectioning this, I took it in diagonal back sections, like so that I was parting with my end result in mind. So my end result in mind being, I want my client to have some softness around her face, and it's gonna be a very windswept type of haircut. So it's not gonna be blunt straight across, but it's more gonna have a soft shape, okay? So I've already cut my perimeter in the back, like I said, at 0 degrees. So I did a check, both sides seem even. So at this time, I usually would step around my client into the front in front of my chair, but obviously I can't do this today. So I'm going to turn my client towards me, and I'm gonna have her look straight ahead. From here, my client has a deep side part, okay? So if my client has a deep side part, and this is where she parts her hair every single day of her life, and this is where her hair is going to fall, I'm going to treat this side part as if it was the center. So I'm going to take about an inch subsection around the face and clip the excess out of my way. Okay, so once again, like I said, using this as my center, I'm going to take a section that straddles this center, and I am going to project that, standing right in front of my client, to my belly button. Okay, so each section I go over, I'm going to over direct to my sides because distance creates length. So this is going to be a way of giving face framing and increasing layers around the face. So taking on the right hand side, once again using that center or that side part as my center, I'm going to over direct to my hip. My guide fell out, so I'm good. No holes here, okay? So as you can see, her layers are starting to increase around her face. This is kind of a foolproof way of doing face framing rather than sliding down with your shears or your razor, because a lot of times we are more dominant in one hand than the other. So it's hard to get them to be exactly the same. Where this way, if you're using your body as a guide and pulling to each side of you, it's almost impossible to yuck up your face framing. So taking another side section and once again over directing to my hip. My guide fell out, very good, because distance creates length. Over directing. Okay, same thing on the other side, except I'm going to over direct this time to my right hip. There's my guide. And this, I'm making sure that I'm staying in a stationary spot. And what's also nice about doing this in front of your client, a lot of the times our clients' heads will start to move, and this way we can keep a clear eye to make sure that their head is stationary in the same spot as well as our body is planted. So I'm going to do a little hand check. Looks pretty good. Looks like I've got a little corner on this side. So how I'm going to take care of that is I'm going to pull this down, going to find that little corner, and there it is. Okay. Good. So I'm going to keep taking sections just from ear split down. Okay, so these are going to come over here because again, distance creates length. So this is going to cause this to be increasing layer because this hair that lives here has to travel further than this hair that lives here. So this hair on top is going to be longer than this hair, but it's going to be cohesive because it's cut at the same point. Okay, so once again, I'm using that center. Forgot to take this side down. Using this part as my center, so that's where I'm going to cut first. Coming straight out, finding my guide, there it is. Okay. The next section, I'm once again, like I said, over directing to my hip because that golden rule is distance creates length. So in order for it to be cohesive, I have to over direct to the same spot every time and cut it there. There's my guide. Pulling over. Okay, do one more for a check to make sure I got all the little guys. A little bit left. There we go. Okay. Over directing to my right hip, staying in front of my client, making sure her head hasn't moved. She's doing a fabulous job. Check with my hands. Seems pretty good. I've got a little bit of a long piece on this side as well again. Gonna just go back in there and check it. Good. Okay, so I have already gone back as far as ear split. So right now I have the perimeter of my back and the perimeter of my sides finished. So I need to connect them because right now I've got two separate haircuts going on, okay? In order to make them marry, I have to connect them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn her to her side. Okay, so I'm gonna take one section, a finger behind her ear, because I know this is my back length and then my front length. There it is, and I'm going to connect the two. It's 0 degrees. Okay, after I've gotten rid of that corner, I'm going to take it and I'm going to find my other corner by connecting the face framing to the, right now, the blunt edge around the back because we haven't added any layers in the back yet. Is I am going to do an increased layer cut, but rather, instead of pulling it all up to 180, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out and I'm gonna rock my fingers so that I'm able to get more layers in her hair without the chance of her ends starting to look a little thinner, and a lot of times happens if you over project or project all the way up to 180 and you've got long hair. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull her out and I'm gonna do a deep point cut. And then I'm going to keep traveling up the head, sweeping my fingers out. I don't want her to have a, perfect, clean, blunt edge. I want it to have a lot of movement, a lot of texture, and still keep her length. So each time I'm pulling out from where the hair lives, I'm flipping my fingers up in order to get that increased layer, okay? So I am using the bottom as my guide. And then I'm taking a small section from the section I previously cut. There's my guide. I'm going in with a point cut again. My perimeter has dropped, so I know there's no holes. Okay, after I continue this around the back part of the head, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a section from the front that matches up with the back, like so. And there's my guide for the back and for my front. And I'm gonna increase so that in case my client decides she wants to flip her hair back, she doesn't have any long hairs hanging out. It's all cohesive no matter which way she flips her hair or wears it in a ponytail or anything like that. Okay, so for my color application, my inspiration today was nature, because a lot of the times nature is not necessarily all cool toned or all warm toned. It's usually a combination of both, where just one is primary and the other is secondary. Okay, this is the final result for my color application. What I did today was I based her all over with like an extended touch-up of a 4M and a 4W with 10 volume developer. Then I took diagonal sections in the back, and I alternated between a 4M for the total strand, a 4M melted to a 7G, and a 4M melted to an 8AV. I took diagonal sections all over the head so that it would be cohesive with the haircut. Okay, in order to prime my client when I blow dried her, I used the Oil Wonders Flash Blow Dry Oil, which is really good for priming the hair as well as drying the hair quickly with the blow dryer. It increases the speed of drying. I also really like to use this on dry hair. I maybe put 1 or 2 squirts in my hands and kind of run it through my client's hair to add shyness and help control any other frizz. So I pre-curled my client and I went ahead and relaxed her set with 2 pumps of the Oil Wonders in my hands, and then I ran it through the hair. I'm also going to be using the Volume Rose hairspray when styling my client's hair today. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, first thing I did was I clipped away my side sections because I'm gonna focus on the back sections first. I'm going to take side sections from each of the back sides, and I am going to over direct them to her heavier side. I'm going to take an elastic band and secure the 2 sections. And then I'm going to do a topsy-turvy where you pull the hair through, and then I'm going to pull out on the side sections to give it that textured, undone look. And I'm going to continue along the back sides, doing the same thing, over directing to my client's heavier side. Another elastic band. And the same thing, pulling it through. And then pulling out those sides to give it some texture. So I'm going to do this all the way down. Okay, so I did the topsy-turvies all the way down, and you can come on closer and you can check it out. So it's given it a very textured, very romantic, loose look in the back. I also lifted through the crown area and sprayed to give it an undone look. So now I'm going to move on to the sides. I'm going to go to the least heaviest side first, and I'm going to take diagonal sections and I'm going to loosely pull that back, and I'm going to find somewhere to tuck it. And I will do that on both sides all the way back. This is the final result for my nature-inspired updo.